Hello everyone, welcome to Advanced Knowledge Systems and a warm welcome to AKS IAS Academy. And about me, I'm Sandeep Bhushan Tumala and I take up the analysis of the Hindu newspaper, emphasizing on the daily newspaper analysis of today's, that is of 31st March 2021. And throughout my session, I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases from the newspaper, wherein we will identify the crucial factual, analytical and conceptual questions of the UPSC prelims perspective. And also, while you imbibe the keywords and the key phrases in your answer writing for the mains examination, your answers would be precise and concise, and thereby you would score higher marks in the mains examination. So this session at AKS IAS Academy will certainly help you to crack both prelims and mains of 2021. And we will now, before getting into the DNA of the newspaper, we will focus at the quote of the day. And the quote of the day says that, be a warrior, not a warrior. And now we'll get into the DNA of the newspaper. Here, the keyword what we need to focus or we would be discussing is about the refugees. Yes, certainly the refugees who are the Myanmar nationals who are entering into the Indian northeastern states from Myanmar to overcome the military coup or the military command, which is now the Myanmar is under the Myanmar on the military coup since February 1st. So definitely there are scores of refugees who are entering into India, and this is the information what we would be focusing and analyzing, that how the Myanmar or the Myanmar nationals who are entering into the northeastern states and the government's response, that is the state government response of the northeastern states towards the refugees. And in regards to this, the Manipur government has withdrawn a letter which was issued by the Manipur government, and in the letter it was clearly mentioned on it has directed the officials not to set up any camps for the Myanmar nationals who have crossed the border and entered into India, and in turn they have to politely turn away the refugees who would wish to seek refuge in India, that is the Myanmar nationals. So the Manipur government has withdrawn a letter which it has issued earlier, and this was issued earlier, but the Union Home Ministry has also asserted that the refugees who are entering into India from Myanmar should be identified and deported, and the Mizoram government is planning to provide them the employment under the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. So this is a very peculiar scenario wherein the state governments are wanting to provide the refugee for the Myanmar nationals who are crossing the border and seeking refugee. But in turn, the Union Home Ministry is asserting and also asking the state governments to identify and deport the refugees. But in turn, the Mizoram government is now planning to provide them employment under the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, which is taken up in India for the citizens or the Indian nationals. But for the first time, we are experiencing that the Mizoram government is planning to provide to the refugees employment under the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. And the letter which was written and which the Manipur government has withdrawn was the letter which has been written on 26th March 26th of 2021 to the Deputy Commissioner of 5 districts which are bordering Myanmar, and it has been very clearly stated in that only in the case of any grievous injuries to the refugees, then there has to be a medical attention which should be provided, and that too the medical attention provided to the Myanmar national in case of grievous injuries is only based on the humanitarian consideration. And this letter has been now withdrawn by the Manipur government. So we have the Manipur, Mizoram Nagaland and Arunachal Pradesh, which are the 4 northeastern states which are bordering Myanmar. And if we still focus further, Mizoram borders with Myanmar of 510 kilometers, Manipur borders with Myanmar of 398 kilometers, Nagaland bordering Myanmar with 215 kilometers, and Arunachal Pradesh, which is highest, bordering the Myanmar, is 520 kilometers. And all the 4 states put together borders with Myanmar, and the border stretches with 1,643 kilometers. So certainly now the refugee issue is a grave concern, that how the state governments would resolve or have the kind of adjustments that they would seek the refugees and provide employment, or else in regards to the medical attention and also food to the refugees. And the letter of March 26 has also directed that Aadhaar enrollment should be stopped immediately, and Aadhaar enrollment kits should be taken into safe custody, because if in case it falls into the hands of the refugees, and if they are brought into the ambit of the Aadhaar, and then if they get the Aadhaar card, then it will be a grave concern to the Ministry of Home Affairs that it would be part of the internal security an issue. So therefore the letter has directed that Aadhaar enrollment should be stopped immediately, and Aadhaar enrollment kits should be taken into safe custody. And this is the importance of how you need to focus the kind of approach by the state governments in regards to the refugees who are seeking refuge into India from the Myanmar. And now we will focus at what is the move by the Mizoram state towards the refugees. We have a Rajya Sabha member from the Mizoram, and the party which he represents is Mizo National Front, that is M. Wanlal Vena. He has told about, or he has said about the refugees who are living in Mizoram. Now, because they have sought refugees and the government has accepted or allowed them on medical attention or providing food or on the basis of humanitarian conditions, now the refugees who are living in Mizoram have to work to earn a living till the situation is improved. And in regards to that, the Rajya Sabha member, that now the refugees who are living in the villages across the state have been allocated work under the National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. And he has said, that is the Rajya Sabha member, Wanlal Vena, has said that the refugees cannot live here for free. That is why a decision has taken that they be allocated a work under the National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. And further, if you look at this, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme is a central scheme which is meant only for Indian citizens. But the rules are notified by the state government that the refugees who have been into the northeastern states, especially the Mizoram, have been provided work under the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. And the Chief Minister, that is Zoramthanga, has granted 1 lakh from the CM Relief Fund to the refugees so that they would provide food and relief, and they would be taken utmost care because they are refugees. And this is as per the situation. Once improved, then there would be an understanding by the center and this state, and they would handle the refugee crisis. And this is the entire analysis is in regards to the refugees who are moving or seeking or who are crossing the border and then getting into India. Then here in this case, it is the Manipur government which has taken an action to withdraw the letter, and the Mizoram government providing them the employment under the National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. And now we will look at another news which is in regards to the POCSO Act. And this is a keyword which we will be focusing. And this is the focus wherein the Supreme Court has focused on the POCSO Act, and it has decided to examine whether the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act can be employed or can be focused to punish the teenagers who are in a consensual physical relationship, but later on the consensual physical relationship which they have been taken up together turns into SAW. That is, it is into a very negative shade. It is getting into that. So that is what the Supreme Court has decided to examine the POCSO Act, which can be employed to punish the teenagers. Please do understand, to punish the teenagers, not the juvenile, not the juvenile. So here, extremely sorry, here the point is the Supreme Court is now deciding to examine whether POCSO Act can be employed to punish teenagers. For what? For consensual physical relationship, because this consensual physical relationship among the teenagers are later on turning it to be a negative side, and then it is causing inconvenience to the girl child. Because we have seen the Supreme Court which has taken up the case, and the bench led by Justice Indira Banerjee has admitted the case of a man who was accused of rape while he was 18 years old and the girl was 17 years. And if you look at this entire scenario of this case, which has been or which has taken up in Tamil Nadu, and the duo, that is the boy and the girl, were in relationship while they were in school. But later on, the boy has refused to marry the girl, and in turn, when he has refused to marry the girl, while they had a consensual physical relationship, but later on he has refused to marry her, in turn, there was a complaint which was filed against him in the year 2015. So this is a case which has been filed, or this is a case which is based in Tamil Nadu, and it has been filed in the Madras High Court, and now this case is being taken up by the Supreme Court because the trial court in Tamil Nadu has found the man guilty, and the trial court has sentenced the boy or the man for 10 years imprisonment under the POCSO Act in 2019. Please do understand, here there was a complaint which was filed against him in the year 2015, and the trial court in Tamil Nadu has sentenced him. That means it has found him guilty, the man, and sentenced him for 10 years imprisonment under the POCSO Act 2019. And now the man, by an advocate, has approached the Supreme Court after the Madras High Court has refused to accept the girl's stand that they were in consensual relationship. So here what we will try to understand is, when or while the trial court has found the man guilty and sentenced him for 10 years imprisonment, and in turn while he has approached the Madras High Court, and further the Madras High Court has refused to accept the girl's statement that they were in consensual relationship, and in turn when the trial court has sentenced and the Madras High Court has refused to accept the girl's stand, then the man has approached the Supreme Court. And while he has approached the Supreme Court, and now the Supreme Court has decided to examine whether the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act can be employed to punish teenagers. Please do understand this conceptual understanding. POCSO is for children's, and now the Madras trial court has sentenced him for 10 years jail under the POCSO Act. And now this is what is being decided. The Supreme Court is decided to examine whether the POCSO Act, which is for the children's, can be employed to punish the teenagers, especially while they are in the consensual physical relationship. And now the man's appeal in the Supreme Court, after the trial court sentencing him for 10 years and the Madras High Court refusing to accept the girl's stand that they were, that means both they were in the consensual relations. Now the man is appealing in the apex court, that is the Supreme Court, and seeking clarity on the law for punishing minors under the POCSO Act for consensual sex. This is the main important analysis what we are taking up now. Is that key phrase is POCSO Act for consensual sex, wherein he is seeking the clarity on the law for punishing the minors under the POCSO Act. And now the bench has issued notice to the Tamil Nadu government, and the court has also ordered the state police, that is Tamil Nadu State Police, not to take any coercive action against the man who has been found guilty and sentenced to 10 years imprisonment by the trial court. So this is a polity perspective and then focusing on the POCSO Act. So please do understand this, that the polity UPSC perspective useful for prelims as well as mains examination. And there is another news which focuses on the Afghan-Taliban dialogue. And now, while we are focusing on the keyword or the key phrase of the Afghan-Taliban dialogue, wherein now India is backing the Afghan-Taliban dialogue. But if we look at in the past, India never accepted that it will have a discussion or the dialogue with the Talibans. But in turn, it was ready to have a discussion and dialogue with the representative government of Afghanistan. And it has made it very clear that unless the Taliban shreds the terror, it will not have any discussions with the Taliban. But External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has said that India is now supporting the intra-Afghan negotiation, IAN. And this is a rare direct reference that it is now ready to have a dialogue with the Afghan Taliban. So this is the point which the US was emphasizing onto India, that India has to take an initiative and then have a discussion or dialogue with the Taliban. And this was the emphasis made by US onto India. And now India has said that this is a rare direct reference that India is now supporting the intra-Afghan negotiation. So this is the key phrase. Intra-Afghan negotiations is the key phrase which you need to focus for prelims as well as mains perspective. And Mr. Jaishankar has also called for double peace both inside Afghanistan and also in the region, that is in the Heart of Asia. And this statement was made by the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar at the 9th Heart of Asia conference in Tajikistan. So another key phrase which is very crucial for the prelims perspective is Heart of Asia conference. And the Heart of Asia or the 9th Heart of Asia conference has taken place in Tajikistan. And here in this, the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar of India has called for a double peace both inside Afghanistan and in the region, that is in the Heart of Asia. And India is now supporting the intra-Afghan negotiations. So this could be a question in the prelims in regards to which among the following statements are incorrect. So there could be a statements in regards to the intra-Afghan negotiations and the double peace 9th Heart of Asia conference in Tajikistan. And the External Affairs Minister has attended along with various foreign ministers of 15 countries, including the Afghanistan, Pakistan, Turkey, Iran, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and 5 Central Asian countries. And Mr. Jaishankar, from India's perspective, has said that yes, India is now part of the intra-Afghan negotiation, but he was insisting that the entire peace process to be successful, and he wanted that it to be in a good faith. That means the peace process should be engaged in a good faith. And he also said that the peace process to be successful, that what is necessary is to ensure that the entire negotiating parties of the Heart of Asia conference of the 9th conference, Asia conference at Tajikistan, has to be engaged in a good faith, and it should be having a serious commitment towards reaching a political solution in regards to the intra-Afghan negotiations. And India has said that never in the past it has referred directly that it will have talks with the Taliban, and it has also said that the government has never opened any kind of public engagement with the militant group. And this is the first time wherein now India is now being part of directly having reference or having talks with the Taliban and having public engagement with the militant groups. And this is a good move what US feels that from India. And India views that the kind of escalation, especially the violence against the civilians and the continued involvement of foreign fighters in Afghanistan is the grave concern. And in turn, this is what the grave concern which India feels is pushing in the Heart of Asia conference, and it wanted the Heart of Asia members to ensure a permanent ceasefire and have a political solution in the intra-Afghan negotiation. And in turn, the Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani has thanked the neighboring countries which were in at the 9th Heart of Asia conference, and he has also lauded or appreciated the number of regional connectivity which India is taking initiatives in Afghanistan or supporting Afghanistan virtually. That is India's Air Corridor program and Chabahar Port project, and also the Tapi pipeline, that is Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India pipeline. So India is definitely being part of the developmental agenda in Afghanistan, and in turn Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani has lauded and thanked the neighboring countries, and especially lauded the kind of regional connectivity initiatives taken up by India, especially Air Corridor program, Chabahar Port project and the Tapi pipeline. And now we will look at another news which talks about new pandemic treaty. So the key word which we need to focus is the pandemic treaty. So what is the treaty which is now evolving during the COVID-19 pandemic situation? Yes, there is a necessity for the new pandemic treaty, and the global leaders are certainly pushing for the new international treaty to prepare for the next global pandemic situation, because this kind of pandemic situations are bound to take place, and this is what the WHO and various scientists, United Nations programs are also emphasizing and alarming the globe or the world countries that there could be a future global pandemic situation. Thereby, the world leaders have come forward to push for a new pandemic treaty or the international treaty to prepare for the next global pandemic, and so that to avoid any kind of scramble for vaccines which is now hampering the COVID-19 response. Because what is very important is supply is important of the vaccine. At the same time, equity of vaccine is also important among all the countries in the world. And leaders from 25 countries, from European Union, WHO, that is World Health Organization, has sought to get to the ground rules which has to be jotted down or written, so that the pandemic treaty or the international treaty would be in a streamlined position, and it would speed up the reaction to the future global outbreaks. Because this COVID-19 pandemic situation is a blessing in disguise, and thereby now the world leaders are in a mode that they feel that it is a need of the hour to have the pandemic treaty, so that they can streamline and speed up the reaction to the future global outbreaks. And the treaty, the aim of the treaty is to ensure that information, virus pathogens, technology to tackle the pandemic and products such as vaccines are shared swiftly and equitably. So these are the two keywords which we need to understand the importance of trying to have a pandemic treaty to handle effectively the future global pandemic, so that there would be the pandemic and to tackle the pandemic and to also tackle the vaccines so that they would be shared swiftly and equitably among the nations in the world. And the WHO chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus has told that now it is a time to act. And he also said that the world cannot afford to wait until the pandemic is over to start planning for the next one. But in turn, while we are in the midst of the global SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19 pandemic situation, now it is the time to act. And we need to start planning for the next global pandemic scenario. And he also warned that internationally coordinated pandemic response plan, or without an internationally coordinated pandemic response plan, we would remain vulnerable to the forthcoming or in the future global pandemic situation. So therefore, WHO chief has mentioned about the time to act is appropriate and to start planning for the next one, or else we will remain vulnerable. And here the point is that new pandemic treaty. Therefore, we will have a swiftly and equitable aim to tackle the pandemic and also the products. And now we will look at what we would be focusing from the NDB, that is New Development Bank. And the Finance Minister, Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, has spoken about that NDB should work with India on funding infrastructure. And this is what Nirmala Sitharaman has urged the NDB, that is New Development Bank. As Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman is India's governor on the NDB board, that is New Development Bank board, she has spoken at the 6th annual meeting of the NDB. And the theme of the 6th annual meeting of the NDB is the new development paradigms, that is the evolution of infrastructure. Please do understand the keywords. That is, the NDB is also focusing on the evolution of infrastructure. And we can also link the theme of the 6th annual meeting and then what our Finance and Corporate Affairs Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has come up with the new institution, that is DFI, Development Financial Institutions, for funding infrastructure in India. So linking the theme of NDB and the new concept of India's development financial institutions. Please do understand, when you can understand this conceptual, the theme of NDB, that is 6th annual meeting, that is the new development paradigms. What are the new development paradigms? That is the development in the infrastructure, and that is the evolution of infrastructure. And what India has also taken up is India's new development financial institutions, and these are for funding infrastructure. And in turn, Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman has urged the NDB to consider working closely with India's new development financial institutions, which India has come up, so that it would be funding infrastructure, especially the social infrastructure, focusing not only on the roads, focusing not only on the development or roads infrastructure development, but also focusing in regards to the social infrastructure, that is of construction of schools and also hospitals. And she has also advised the NDB to effectively meet the evolving development needs. So this is the keywords. So the focus is on the evolving development needs of the member countries of the NDB, and she has also encouraged to develop a synergic relationship. That means to have a coordinated relationship with various other multilateral development banks or financial institutions, and with the development financial institutions, and also the one which has been newly set up in India, that is DFI. And she has also asserted, that is Miss Nirmala Sitharaman has also asserted, that India's quick response has been to limit the impact of the pandemic. And she has also said that India has also undertaken a massive vaccination drive, and in turn the massive vaccination drive, that is health point of view, or the kind of health measures and the economic measures have resulted in the V-shaped recovery in India post COVID-19 pandemic situation, or post India's national lockdown. And if you look at about NDB, that is New Development Bank, was set up by the BRICS countries in the year 2014. Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. And NDB has so far approved 18 projects in India. Along with these 18 projects which have been approved by NDB to India, NDB has also gone ahead with providing emergency loan of $2 billion to support health spending and economic recovery in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic situation. So India has taken the emergency loan from the World Bank and also from the NDB, which has supported the health spending and the economic recovery. So this is in regards to the development financial institutions, and the theme of the 6th annual meeting of NDB is the new development paradigms, the evolution of infrastructure. So I was focusing on the development financial institutions, which will focus for funding infrastructure not only on the roads but also in regards to the social infrastructure. I was emphasizing this word. So social infrastructure is especially focusing on the schools and hospitals. So this is what the India's new development financial institutions on infrastructure funding, especially focusing on social infrastructure, that is schools and hospitals. So I hope this session was informative, knowledgeable and also crucial for mains and prelims of UPSC perspective. So I would say a very big thank you and a good luck to you all. Do maintain consistency, stick to your schedule and take care of your physical health and mental health. And do not forget to like the video, share the video and subscribe the AKS IAS English Medium YouTube channel, and also have access to the website and also the Telegram link of AKS IAS Academy, that is Advanced Knowledge System. And then see you again tomorrow with the daily news analysis at AKS IAS Academy. Till then, thank you, goodbye, and then take care.